Hey, welcome back to A Faster Me. We're at the 2023 Barry Wolfe Grand Prix put on by Sirius Cycling. Like always, I like try to get off to just a decent start, just try to get off the line and get moving. Then I usually let a few people slot in. I'm sorry, get in front of me, and then I slot in. So anyway, it's good racing this weekend. Perfect weather, a little bit cool, a little bit breezy, but overall it's great for cycling just to cool the engine down. Got Greg to my right there from Go Fast, and yeah, it's just a good race, pretty decent speed, but it's weird compared to last year. It was I wouldn't say so much slower. We averaged 26 miles per hour for this race, but last year my fastest lap was almost 10 seconds faster than what we went this year. So also, my sprint also, I think last year I got up to 37, 38 miles per hour on the sprint, and just where I'm at this year, I was barely at 34 miles per hour, 33, 34 miles per hour. So um, definitely not in the same type of shape. And, I had we ended up doing the team time trial on Saturday out in Lake Los Angeles. We won the four rider mixed. So um, my legs were fine. It's just I had a heart issue again yesterday on Saturday, and so I took medication for this day, just because my heart was just blipping a little bit. It didn't feel like it was back yet, so I ended up taking medication just to be safe. And it's just going to keep my heart rate lower than it normally is, which is fine. But I didn't have any high top end today, so riding was fine, but when I really needed power, it just kind of wasn't there. It was just a little bit low, and my heart rate stayed a little bit low. So, no big deal though. It's better, like I said, it's better to be safe than sorry. It was stable throughout the race, and I felt pretty good. It's just I'm just missing that little 10%, So, anyway, as you can see, the pace is pretty hot from the beginning. It wasn't super hot. It kind of stayed steady most of the race. At some points we were like, riding group ride, group ride pace. It got kind of low down to like 24 miles per hour, stuff like that, 23. And but on this front straight here, it's a little bit uphill. It's just kind of like a false flat, and it was always a pretty good effort going up the front straight here. Got my man trying a little breakaway up there. I don't know his name, but he's done that. He did that a lot during this race, which is good. He kept trying to get off the front a little bit, and just kept, it stretches things out a little bit and keeps it a little spicy, keeps everyone alert. Um, he didn't have a lot of success as far as like really breaking the elastic, but he did get off the front a few times and just put in a good effort. This backside here, it's kind of downhill for the most part. You can reach some pretty high speeds, but it was into a headwind. So as we make this little bend right here, it looks like a turn, but it's really not. It's, when you're out there riding, it just feels like a really long straightaway. But after you turn there, like here, the headwind gets pretty high. Um, it wasn't hard, like a lot of wind. It's just pretty stiff though, like if you're on the front. So as you can see too, our speed slowed down. We're down to 24 miles per hour. So yeah, but I love this course. It's wide enough. They do a great job of blocking it off. It seems like a little bit of overkill, like when you're driving into the course with just the amount of cones and police and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's really, to me, makes it a safe event. Makes it wide. We don't have to worry about any cars coming on the course, and there's like sheriffs and police officers everywhere. And it's a safe area to begin with, but just I don't know if the city volunteers or if they have to really just pay for all those extra police services and stuff like that. But they do a good job, and everything's marked off pretty well. This corner number four, usually a high speed corner. It gets a little bit tight when you're like really going fast with the island on the outside there, but other than that, it's like a big wide corner as well. You can carry a lot of speed going in there. Has some good tactics in this race as well. Here I just use my man's momentum, kind of come up. He runs up to, to a buddy. They have a little conversation, but it's always good when you can use someone's energy. If you see them making a move, yeah, you got to put down a little bit of power, but it's way less than what you would have to do by yourself, and it allows you to make up a lot of spots. So I'm still sitting pretty up here, and like the top 8 riders or so. You got Montgomery on the front with Greg on his wheel. Montgomery was basically pulled the first 2 laps. So yeah, let me give you a quick breakdown of the course. A lot of people think it's similar to Redlands, but it's really not. If you look at this first turn, it kind of looks like turn 1 in Redlands, but not even anywhere near as tight. Like, it looks like you have to turn hard, but since it's so wide, you can just run it left over there near the cones, and it's really like not even a turn. It's really just turns into a normal 90-degree turn instead of being decreasing radius like it looks on the map up there to the left. And then this part really is just an extended straightaway. Like I said, on the last lap, it looks like there's a turn, midway through, but it's really not a turn. It's just like a slight kink. And since our tires are so small, we really can just go straight. So we got the Velosport rider going off the front there, just trying to do a little attack. It was shut down pretty fast. Everybody just jumped on his wheel. Shout out to Montgomery again. He did the first 2 laps basically. He pulled the first 2 laps pretty solo, and then he still had a little bit in the tank to cover this move here. So yeah, now when you hit the bottom of the straight, this is like the fastest part of the course here for the most part, other than sprinting. But, last couple laps, you're going to be well over 30 miles per hour coming through here. You can take it pretty good speed through here as well. Like you said, you can run it wide to the cones. It can get a little bit narrow if it's not stretched out, but for the most part, it's fast, it's wide. And then the same thing here, you got a really short straight here before you dip it into turn 4. See Jack on the outside making up some spaces. This is for a preem lap here, so all those guys up there are going for the preem lap. I didn't want to put, I didn't want to blow any of my energy on a preem lap. I'm not in shape. I got heart issues, so I definitely can't be wasting energy on a preem lap. I just got to sit in, try to hold stay near the front a little bit, and just see how the race plays out to the end. If I end up going for a preem lap, I'll probably be out of the race. So I'm sitting behind Pascal here. He's going to put in a little dig. Just, he's not really worried, but, just got to play it safe. You don't know if those guys are going to try to keep going or not. Anytime there's a preem, there's always a little bit of danger of somebody trying to keep going after the preem and get away. But so I just ride the wheels up to the front here. Jack went for the preem, so he's a little bit gassed. So I come by him here and just tell him to jump on my wheel. You can see he's fading just a little bit. So I just tell him jump on my wheel, and he jumps on. Because the speed's ramped up just a little bit here. Like I said, anytime there's a preem, that's a good opportunity to try to break the field or break the elastic and just get a little gap on the field. But once everybody looks back and see that the whole peloton's attached, no one wants to really just tow the peloton around, so it kind of slows down and bunches up again. So you see up front a guy darts to the left, so I just kind of shout out, hey, no big lateral movements, just keep it smooth. So that's the thing in our categories. It's not that, people aren't fast or talented or smart. It's really just sometimes, I think sometimes people don't know, realize how many people are around them, and we really should not have any big movements left and right. You can, obviously we all have the freedom to move around, and for the most part, it's all of our responsibilities to protect our front wheel, but we still don't want to be going big movements to the right or big movements to the left. You just want to do gradual lateral movements, and your bike basically should always be going forward. See Pascal there give a little hand signal to his boys, kind of shut it down right here. Whatever their tactic was to begin with, he's like, yeah, not now. Which is probably just like I said, kind of get away after the first preem. It just wasn't set up for it yet. So they're going to be a little patient and you know, try their tactics a little bit later instead of whenever they originally planned it. See Pascal up there talking to one of the Sammy Bros, and I'm like, hey, what's going on here? Are they in cahoots? You know what's going on. You always got to watch out for people tag teaming some stuff. So I'm always a skeptic or a little skeptical. So I'm always looking out for like who's working with who. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just all good tactics. You always want to, I said it before, especially like myself. It's usually just me and Jack in these races, and our fitness is at such different places that we don't have like I don't have. It's basically me. I don't have the ability to help Jack right now, so we don't really like have big game plans coming in right now, just because we only have 2 riders, and I'm kind of a wounded dog, just kind of limping around through the peloton. So when you don't have a team, you got to make a friend out there. You got to make a couple friends sometimes just to get some help. And if that's something like actual help where you're going to have some tactics together, or it might just be a little help where you just need a break, you need to get back into the group or something, or help running something down, just whatever it is, whatever your agreement is, it's always good to have a frenemy out there. And we had we had some good representation. Like a lot of people showed up from different squads, but no one brought like a full squad out. I think in this race, shoot, I don't know. The boys from Firestone, they had 3 guys. Velosport has like 4 guys, I think. But they're all juniors, and that's not a knock on them or anything. It's just, it's different power profiles, and some of them don't have like the raw power yet to be like running down brakes completely and stuff like that, even though they have good numbers and they're all strong young riders. But when you're in the wind, you got to push the wind by yourself. Sometimes that changes, the effort. It changes the effort level. So here, same thing. Just carry a little momentum and try to get your speed up. Since Pascal comes around, I was going to do that effort, but I'd rather not. So you see we're already at 600 watts, so I just jump in, slot in, and let him run it down. They had a lot of preems in these races too. Probably had a preem every few laps. It's kind of normal, but when they're giving money away, it's always a good preem. It's just sometimes people are giving away beer, kind of that no one really wants for the most part. But I don't mean to knock the sponsor or anything. We appreciate all the gifts, but sometimes as a cyclist, you want money because the races cost, and you want some either free entries or equipment and kits, stuff like that, helmets, all those kind of things, really pay off for us. All right, so we got the speed ramped up a little bit. Like I said, it was a little slower this year, and part of it's just because of tactics. When you got guys trying to break away and teammates trying to slow down the breakaway, that's going to slow the overall speed of the peloton down. Anytime there's a breakaway, it's going to slow the peloton down unless it's organized and people are trying to run it back down, which, at this level is never really the case, because either there's not enough teams that are willing to sacrifice some riders, or when it's like it is now where no one else really has more than one teammate, people don't want to sacrifice their finish to try to run down the break for the benefit of others. If you're going to run down the break, you typically want it to benefit either you or your teammate. And honestly, if you put in all that work running down the break, you're usually not going to have a high finish. So it's just kind of the name of the game at this level. If somebody has a team and a couple teammates out there that are willing to work together and sacrifice for each other, then that's just what it is. Everybody else was going to be racing for 3rd, 4th, 5th, whatever it is. And hopefully people realize that. And I know everyone doesn't, because you hear them yelling, pick up the pace, stuff like that. And it's like, well, if the guy's teammates off the front there's no reason for them to pull. So if you're not willing to go up front and go around, then that's just a choice we all make, and we're all sitting there racing for, like I said, third and or worse. So here we hug this right side a lot. The wind is coming a little bit off of the left here, so it is smart for us to hold the right side. So anybody that passes has to go off the left, and they're going to be a little bit more exposed to the wind. We have a little bit of a tail crosswind here, so it's not that bad of a wind on the left side, but still it's just a better tactic, and you use more energy going off to the left here. We got Montgomery moving up the left side again, going up to the front. I don't think, oh yeah, there is a rider off the front now. Just a small gap at this point, but when you got a teammate, the Firestone boys, if you see the two guys up in blue up there, so they're trying to slow it down now, let their teammate get off the front. I think they did one lap picking up the pace just to get everyone stretched out, get people's legs burning a little bit, and then after that you release your teammate, let them go off the front, and then the rest of the team has to slow the peloton down as much as they can. You let that gap get bigger. So with this group, unfortunately, it's just communication. If you really want to try to run down the break, you got to recruit a couple guys. They're not on your team, but you got to recruit a couple guys that's willing to work and get a little 8-person rotation or something off the front to try to run down the break and just keep it steady. But what happens a lot is instead of people keeping it steady trying to run down the break, you'll get one guy surging, like a hard attack, trying to pull. Like they try to cover the break immediately, which isn't going to happen. You got a guy 50 yards in front of you, 100 yards in front of you, you got to remember they're still moving. They're moving away from us. So if they're doing 25 miles per hour and you got to cover a 100-yard gap, you have to sprint pretty hard to cover that immediately. And once you do sprint, it's just a surge. You're not going to be able to hold it. So when you try to run down a break, yeah, you got to pick up the speed, but it should be gradual, a speed that everybody can, work with and not have to close gaps, because you don't want to get a big gap on the peloton if you're trying to run down the break. You want to pick up the speed gradually, hold it, and we just rotate, and everybody just keeps holding that speed. Takes a couple laps, and you'll run down the breakaway. But the way we were doing it here, like I said, the guys from Firestone did a good job of running interference. But we can't do it by one guy surging off the front, putting in a hard 10-second effort. That's not going to bring back the break ever. You just got to go up to the front, and we have to rotate. Me, I don't have the fitness or anything else to do it. I definitely will rotate with and work with people, but I have to have, then if I do that, I have to have a teammate that it's going to benefit. I'm not going to do it just to do it and then be off the back in a second. And of course, it does benefit all of us to run down the break. So here we got probably, I don't know, we probably got like 5-6 laps left in the race, maybe 5 laps left in the race. And that's definitely a critical point. Once it gets to, 4 laps, 5 laps, and you got someone off the front, it's very hard to bring them back at that point. As you can see here, we're back down to like group ride speed. It's all bunched up. Everyone's kind of just cruising. And this is where it gets not dangerous. I don't mean dangerous like as far as like reckless or anything, but it gets dangerous when it gets slow, because you're gonna get another break. Like someone always flies off the front anytime it gets slow like this. It's perfect. It's the perfect setup, because you can put in a little effort to get off the front. You don't have to do a full sprint or anything. Get some separation from the group. So it always benefits the group to keep the speeds a little higher. So actually, they haven't even went off the front yet. I think that was just the softening of the legs kind of effort. Maybe it was the first attempt, just testing it out, see how everybody is, like see how the group reacted. But you can see the guys from Firestone setting up on the right side over there. Three teammates kind of lined up. I try to use a little momentum and go around the outside here. So I think we should be coming into maybe, maybe four laps to go now at this point. Once we cross the finish line, I don't know if I can see the lap counter or not, but we should be at just about 4 laps, maybe 5 laps, but I think it's probably 4 to go at this point. And this is where, obviously it's critical at this point. We don't want anyone getting off the front now. It's definitely hard to bring it back when you only got a few laps to go. Here we start making it a little bit sketchy for ourselves by hugging this right side so tight going into this first turn. Like I said, it's not as tight of a turn as people think, but we hardly ever run it to the outside as a group. As you can see, Jack flies around the outside, and that's why he does it, because the group never runs it wide like that. If they did, we'd carry a little bit more speed, and you can see Jack was able to make up like 20 spots just by carrying momentum around the outside. So as we hug that inside like that, it just kind of limits people's options a little bit. And it creates kind of like a dive bomb situation for the peloton, just hugging it so tight. Because whoever goes on the inside, then they have to really turn it real tight. And if they end up not making that turn or coming across people, it's going to be disastrous. Shout out to all the Velosport guys too. It's hit and miss sometimes with people. A lot of us are old guys, so sometimes people are like, "Damn, juniors," But honestly, they're out here competing. They're good. They're strong. They have a future in the sport. We're out here just having fun, but they actually have like a future in the sport. A lot of them are only like 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, and this is their sport. We had our lives already. I played football, was my sport. A lot of people have done different things in their sport. I raced motorcycles, all that kind of stuff. But, this is their sport. They're in it at a young age, and they have an opportunity to see how far they can go. So I'm glad they're out here. I'm glad they have the passion, putting in all the work, and they're going to learn fast. Like any mistakes they make, they're going to learn. It's what it is. So we all make mistakes. Even us older guys, we make mistakes as well. The difference is we just don't have the same youthful enthusiasm that they have, and of course we have a little bit better sense of consequences because we have jobs and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, it's good to see them out here, and it's good to see that they have a squad of like 5 guys out here. Same with Mateo right there. You see Mateo Padilla, same thing, young guy, very strong, and he has a future in the sport as well. All right, so now it's getting down to the nitty gritty. We got a few laps left. Definitely, I think Pascal went off the front now. So it's getting a little bit desperate, but again, if it's not organized, if we don't have anyone organized to chase, then it is what it is. That lead just gets a little bigger. So as you can see, we'll surge for a second. As we surge, we'll surge, then slow down, surge, then slow down. That doesn't help us at all. And actually, I think this might be the move here, because I think that was one of the Firestone guys off the front, probably Pascal right there off the front. So this might be the attack right here that finally snaps. In the last couple laps, I kind of try to stay on Jack's wheel a little bit. One, because, he's been a marked man throughout the season. A lot of people want his wheel. So I try to keep his wheel clean, give him some freedom to move around. But also, I know he's always going to be at the front. So it's kind of good to, be able to follow him if I can. It's just a lot of times, like I said, since we're not actually riding as with complete tactics. A lot of times, some of the spots he goes into is only big enough for one person. So, at some point, I always lose his wheel and try to get back to it. But for the most part, I just keep it clean. I just try to keep his wheel clean, give him a little freedom to move around, and if I can hang on to it, then great. But until I get the fitness and stuff, for me, it's just trying to protect Jack a little bit and then get whatever finish I can get. So yeah, I see a rider up the front. That's Pascal up the front. You see his teammate on the right trying to move up to try to affect the peloton a little bit. When you get this late and it's only a few laps left in the race, any interference that slows down the peloton is going to be like huge, because a couple seconds is like a big gap when it's only a couple laps left, and it's just hard to catch strong riders when they're off the front. Pascal has a lot of power, so he told me some of his power numbers a week ago or a couple weeks ago at CBR. So yeah, if you got that kind of power and you can hold it for a good 5-10 minutes, it's hard for the peloton to catch if we're not going consistently, if we're not organized and going consistent. And you can see how spread out we are. Even though we're doing 28 miles per hour, if we're spread out like this, it's definitely not organized. Not to mention, you got to look at just the rider makeup. A lot of guys in here that I recognize, they're all sprint type guys. We're not long power guys. So if you're a sprinter type, yeah, you're definitely not using all your energy to try to run down the brake. That's why it's always good if you have like a team, to have a mix of guys, not all the same type riders, not everybody trying to win the race. Unfortunately, it doesn't pan out that way if you're talking about team tactics. So here we're a little too bunched up going to this turn. That's when things get dangerous, when you got like 4 or 5 wide going into the turns. We need to stretch it out a little bit more. You see guys are almost hitting right there. We got to get over 30 miles per hour coming through these last 2 turns. The guy's shooting up the inside. So here we go. We're going into the last lap, I believe. Again, I'm just trying to make up some spots, trying to get back into a position where I can give myself a chance on this front straight. Normally, with that heart rate that I have right there, normally I'd be just golden. Like normally this would be perfect, but like I said, I took meds, so my heart rate's going to be a little lower than it normally is. I would say it's probably equivalent to 10 beats higher, which means I'm kind of on the limit a little bit. I see Lance come through, Lance comes through, and I wanted him to come through. I wanted to get a wheel that I can follow. I know Lance is going to be there at the end for the sprint. I believe there's Beto in front of me right here. So all the guys up the front right now, those are the guys that are going to be there at the end. So just trying to find a good wheel that I can get to, but we're definitely way too far back. Got guys dive bombing up the inside there, kind of getting desperate. So I'm definitely way too far back. I'm just trying to find a little spot here. We're doing over 30, so obviously it's hard to move up when you're going this fast. But this is it. This is the last lap, so definitely got to get in a little bit better position. Tell the serious cycling guy he can go ahead. Just because I don't want to be here at the moment, and I know some of these riders are going to come backwards a little bit. We're putting in a pretty good dig, so I'll have an opportunity. So I shoot up here past a couple people trying to slot back in, but honestly, when I shot up there, it was all headwind, and I was putting in a little bit too big of an effort, so I tried to slot back in. As you can see, we're still hitting close to 400 watts, so it's not like it's an easy effort. And like I said, that 180 for my heart rate is probably closer to 194 instead of 184. Good speed through here, but I'm just way too far back. I don't know. I'm probably in like 20th place or something right here. Carry a little decent speed here. Didn't know if I was getting pushed wide again. try to open up a little sprint, have nothing in my legs, barely hit 800 watts, 800 and something watts. Go around these 3 guys here, but I'm pretty dead. You can tell I have no pop, no muscle. Like I said, last year on the sprint, I was at almost 38 miles per hour, and I can barely hit 33 something. I was just under 34. A couple guys passed me again, and I finished in 19th place. So anyway, good tactics by the Firestone boys, winning in a breakaway. Pascal won solo breakaway. I think he was out there with Big Orange. So good tactics, and thanks for watching. Got a couple more videos to get out, and hopefully I'll get them in a couple days. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.